You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darrow O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen, on Phoenix 92.5 FM if you're checking us out on Tuesday, but we are recording live on YouTube and Twitch and all the other places that this goes to. There is a lot. There's Twitter and everything. This is the Wrestling Rewind. My name is Darrell O'Connor, and we're here to talk about WrestleMania 38 Night 1. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Martin Herty. Martin, how are you, sir?
We're halfway there, Dara.
We're living on a prayer.
Yeah, look, I'm not really the biggest proponent of WWE, but even I get the old nostalgia pop for WrestleMania.
I have to say, I was first of all, we talk about the fact that you posted some pictures and video of yourself reigning, defending, undefeated, 1-0 with a better record of in MMA than CM Punk. So fair play, they were pretty cool. We have to post them on our socials, man, so people can actually see that. So we want to do that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
but,
maybe CM Punk will get a look at it. And,
well, that's it. We're still waiting for him to to respond.
But I'm worried if he sees how thoroughly I dominated in that fight, he's even less likely to risk taking me on, you know?
I'm telling you, well, anyway, you're going to hold on to that record, man, for a while. Nothing's going to take you out of retirement until only Punk.
19 years. I'll be like Austin. 19 years, I'll come back.
No, man, but I agree with you. I wouldn't really be a proponent of WWE, period, or modern wrestling, really, in general, if it's not Impact, but... I'm still going to watch WrestleMania. We're still going to do this show. Again, folks, if you're in the chat, please do let us know what you think. We'll be able to read it here.
WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble are the ones that always bring me back in. And I didn't think much of the Royal Rumble this year. Oh. But we're halfway through WrestleMania, and so far, did a pretty good show.
Yeah, no, like we kind of did a review of the Rumble, and it was probably one of the worst ones in recent memory. But it seems like with what they're doing now, like the 2-night WrestleMania thing is brilliant.
Yeah,
it genuinely is. It makes the whole thing feel more like I know WrestleMania always felt like an event, but they say less is more, and particularly when it comes to like time spent watching wrestling, but not only for like selfishly, because we'll get to it when we're talking about it, but I mean, it's cool to have 2 nights of wrestling to watch, and it breaks up the event, and also like. The main event that we got last night would have kind of been lost if it was just a 9-hour show. I think the fact that what we got had such a massive impact, felt huge because it was, but I mean it would have been lost, and everybody would have seen Roman Reigns holding the 2 belts and been like, oh, okay, well that was kind of pointless. But I loved it. I thought it was great.
I mean, the fact that it's broken down into 2 nights, it was still a 4-hour show.
Longer. I think, like, I was looking at the time, I'm like, Jesus, it's like nearly 5:30 in the morning.
Oh God, yeah, I was
in bits.
Absolutely.
Today. Really
at that stage.
Yeah. It's funny, anytime I talk to anybody who's like, you're a night owl, I'm like, let me explain to you what it's like being a wrestling fan who lives in Ireland. Wait until you find out that my entire life, from the age of like 8, has been staying up really late on American time. This is why this happened. But it's been a while since I've actually done it, and WrestleMania really did kind of come here and tell you something. I was watching I went back, and before we went live, I was watching WrestleMania 14 with the DX band. And I'm like, yeah, because I was rewatching night one while I was doing my notes, and I'm like, the national anthem thing. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but it always feels kind of feels a little bit now I know it's supposed to be hammy, but like it just feels a little bit hammy, And I'm like, geez, what was really cool when the DX band were there, and I went back to watch it, and it's gone. It's not on the network. You cannot. What? Yeah, you can't see it. The way they did their alternative national anthem, and it was like Rage Against the Machine kind of thing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then the whole place booed them out of the bit, like booed. And WrestleMania 14 started with boos. WWE have gone back and actually expunged that from history, and I thought I was having a Mandela effect where I'm like, did I imagine that, or did that actually happen?
I wonder, was that a? Oh no, because we don't have Peacock. We still have the network. Because I know Peacock went through the network with a save and just cut loads and loads of stuff out of it.
Well,
but even before that, WWE had been cutting their own stuff.
Martin, as the journalist that I am, I went in and found the answer to this.
Oh.
And it turns out WWE did in fact cut this. It's been cut from the beginning. So they went in and they all like WWF logos are still there and the titles are there. But when you're watching the show, every time Jim Ross goes WWF, it's gone. So all you hear is the title, the champion. It's all
I suppose.
Gone.
Yeah, I suppose because the commentators are speaking into microphones, they can probably isolate.
Yeah. They're isolating out the audio, but I thought that was weird that like it's the only WrestleMania that I've been able to see that doesn't have the national anthem in it, because it's just cut, it just starts, and you're like,
it's so bizarre.
It's so bizarre, and I think it was because like I think it was really cool and it's very of its time, but like I don't know, I thought it was awesome. I'm guys, if you disagree with me, cool, like, but I think it was like one of the coolest ways to start WrestleMania was because like, okay, so two problems I have, and I will let you go in a second. Two problems I have. One, I hate the music in current WWE. I hate the music of this show. And the national anthem, while it needs to be there, I'm like, I don't know. There was three lads with guitars and it all just felt very hokey. And I'm like, God, when the DX band were there, it was cool. You got to see Jim Johnson randomly just standing there looking really out of place. They had this cool bass player who looked like Jason Newsted but wasn't. You had your man, the lead singer, Sean, can't remember his name, but he is dead now, unfortunately. And then it was just awesome. And then Jim Ross is like, only in America can you have that level of self-expression. And I'm like, best call ever. It was brilliant. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It is on YouTube. And I'm just like, this is wonderful. So, I don't know. I miss the Attitude Era for stuff like that, where it was just weird. And WWE just did stuff. And then it's like, okay. And the fact they're going through and like removing this, it feels kind of hokey, and I haven't like felt an Attitude Era vibe until last night when Austin came out, and it's like, whoa, he is the Attitude Era. Like, he actually is, and you're just like, man, it still took me right back.
Was there a WrestleMania that did in Canada, and they started off with the American national anthem?
I don't know. That wouldn't shock me though. It wouldn't shock me.
I think so. I'm going to have to look that one up because I think I remember someone talking about that before.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, absolutely. There was the crowd was actually great the whole night.
They were, yeah. They were.
But you could tell there was a marked difference between when they were popping for everything the whole way through the show and then when Austin came out. Like, it was noticeable, the difference.
It was properly like, we are like, and that's the thing, we are going to go through this show match by match, but I mean, like, it is the mark different where, like, yeah, the wrestlers are huge names, but they're not Stone Cold. Even Taker, they popped for Taker, and
they did, yeah.
But the Austin pop was very
they popped for Taker because they didn't have to sit through his TED talk again.
Oh man, it was weird though. It was like, when Taker came out, and then he was like, "Is he going to do the arm thing?" And he didn't, and I was like, oh, that's real awkward, because they were waiting for him to do it and he didn't do it, and it was just like, oh no, quickly move on. It was hilarious.
Well, I watched the Hall of Fame thing. I actually thought the Hall of Fame was pretty good.
It was actually. I watched some of it there yesterday.
I thought it was pretty good up until Taker, which was disappointing. I knew when he came out with the because of the TED talk. I knew when he came out with the the microphone sellotape to his face. I was like, this is going to be a performance. It's not just going to be, just him talking. It's not going to be real. This is going to be like I just thought it was I just thought it was very overproduced. And
I am going to say something that's kind of controversial here. I don't think Taker's done.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I think they're angling towards. No, I could be wrong. Probably am wrong. So don't like. Oh no, it's weird. The fact that you can bet on wrestling, folks. Don't bet on wrestling. Like, I'm not giving financial advice, but like, wrestling isn't real. Don't bet on wrestling. It's particularly WWE because they could do screwy finishes. So I never understood people that bet on wrestling. It's just don't do it. And the fact they have DraftKings, I'm like, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. You know. But yeah, no.
I think the fact that he took the Hall of Fame thing, I think that's an indication that he knows he's done in ring.
Yeah, I just, again, don't take this to the bank. Don't bet on it. But I would say he's going to show back in one more match. I think there's one more left in him, and I can see it. I can see them going back to the Boneyard thing, where like something happens, and he has to do the Boneyard thing, because I think that's the best way to do it. You know, in the ring, like in the ring, I can see he's done. I don't think we're going to have another match like that. But I mean, like, it's weird that Taker, and it's another thing as well that we can kind of look out. Triple H retired this week, which was devastating for me personally. And he's a fair bit younger than Undertaker.
Yeah, but I mean, it's down to that heart issue, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly why. Yeah. So if people aren't aware, all major outlets reported that he was stepping down because of the heart situation or heart event. Isn't that what they call it? It wasn't like a heart attack. It was like that's thing that happened.
It's like WWE language, a local medical facility for a heart event.
But I was watching WrestleMania there before we came on, and that's how they described it too. And it's like, right, well, what actually was it? So no one actually knows what it was. It was just something, but it was enough to pretty much say if he wrestles again, he could die. You know, which is obviously terrifying. But I mean, Austin was told the same thing apparently. Just looking back, and doing some background research on his last match with The Rock. So his last match with The Rock was WrestleMania 19 in 2003, and apparently he had a heart attack the night before. And there's a whole WWE documentary on it. It's really good if you haven't seen it. And he had a heart attack the night before. Went out. The match itself was great. Nobody knew that was his last match, and man, it was weird. But I mean,
well, I'd say one of the reasons he was able to come back is because he was fairly solid. Like for the next 19 years, he didn't do anything, you know, in terms of wrestling, or in terms of anything that might do further damage to his neck. You know, like the first time I've seen him do anything even approaching a bump was during the pandemic when he took a stunner from Becky.
You see, that was what I was going to say. Triple H, even though he wasn't full time, he would still do these big matches every now and then. You know, he'd still get in the ring. Like his last match was pretty much with all his NXT favorites, Nakamura, Owens, and Bobby Roode, and that was his last match. So he would get in the ring and make more appearances than he probably should have. And my question, I suppose, or my hypothesis basically is: was Taker right to do what he did, where he prolonged his career probably for 10 years by just showing up once, twice a year, instead of Triple H, who would show up a fair bit more?
I think it's easier for Taker given his gimmick. Like those wrestlers that have a gimmick that has a sort of an air of mystery or whatever about it, the less you see them, it's nearly better. You know, it's more impactful when they do show up. So I think Taker's gimmick allowed him to show up once a year and do the big Mania match and then go off. Whereas when Triple H was, you know, showing up every so often to do a match, kind of just had an air of ego about it. It's, you know, like he was putting himself into the shows. Yeah,
again, I didn't mind. I think he should always have the belts.
All the time.
I think like they should just stop the belts and just give it to him and then start new belts. You know?
And then I'd say running NXT, and you know, while Vince was constantly trying to destroy NXT, I'd say that puts a lot of stress on your heart as well.
Oh, I can imagine. Can you imagine what that was like?
Imagine building it up, and then you have like a heart event and you go to the hospital and you come out and you see NXT 2.0. It's just be crestfallen.
Like, to be honest with you, there's a lot of memes. Excuse me, Triple H should go work with AEW. Well, particularly, I was thinking about it actually, because obviously, what was it, Glory by Honor? Was that the name of the pay-per-view? The Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
Oh, Supercard of Honor.
Supercard of Honor. That was on Friday, and I saw a little bit of that. I know a couple of my friends were watching it, and they were saying it was unreal. And look, it did look pretty cool. Samoa Joe obviously now showed up, and he's in AEW, so I know AEW and Ring of Honor are pretty much the same thing. It would be cool to have Triple H show up in Ring of Honor and be like, I'm running Ring of Honor, and then kind of doing what he wanted to do without that oversight. Because I don't, like, from what I've seen, I haven't seen the full show. I watched a couple of minutes of it, but from what I saw, the actual production is weird because it doesn't look like Ring of Honor. It doesn't look like AEW. It looks like slightly better Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? It's like slightly better, and I think that's really cool, actually.
I think it's kind of in the middle of a transition at the moment because, I mean, Tony Khan had said he only went ahead with this show because it had already been set and booked for this weekend, that otherwise he never would have put a show on the same weekend as WrestleMania.
He said he didn't want to go against his own show as well, which he did. He was going against... and
he had to go against Rampage. Yeah. So there was it was kind of lose-lose there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think... that was probably the sort of end of that era of Ring of Honor, and we'll see what it becomes over the next couple of months.
Well, look, if I was Triple H, I'd be dusting off the LCV. I'd be like, right.
What's his? So he's obviously finished in ring, but what's his position now in WWE? Because he's not head
CEO,
of NXT
he's
anymore.
Not head of, I genuinely don't know. I mean, like, obviously he has enough money to do whatever he wants, but like, again, if I was him, I'd be like, right, gonna go off and do my own thing, which, to be fair, there's no reason not to. I know maybe Stephanie would be mad at him or whatever, but why not? Like, literally there's no reason for him to be in WWE anymore, until Vince cedes over control. But like, again,
Vince isn't going to die for another 30 years.
Man, I still believe it's getting sold. I'm still saying WWE is getting sold. It's what's going to happen. So like, if I was Triple H, I'd be like, look, make a couple of phone calls, show up a Ring of Honor, be like, look, even the on-air authority figure or whatever. I mean, they have William Regal in AEW, and I think he's pretty much doing his NXT shtick there. But it sucked for me as a Triple H fan because he's my favorite wrestler, and it was weird on the same weekend to have Undertaker retire, Triple H retiring, and Austin having his last match. And I'm like, man, wrestling's like, all I can say is I'm glad we do a show 20 years ago. You know what I mean? We get to look at these guys in their prime, and it's more kind of fun because watching this show, while it was a good show, that last match really reminded what is missing in current product, where it was like, well, we'll go through it, but I mean, the only one that felt like a star was Austin, and Kevin Owens,
and Cody.
And Cody. Yeah, I know. Cody. Well, let's start there, I suppose, because it's a good place to start. So, obviously, this match was kind of added last minute. And WWE apparently, from what the Dirts were saying, that it was they kind of threw people off the scent. And I heard rumours that Bray Wyatt was going to show up. And then I got excited for a moment. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. This whole thing was a work.
Shane McMahon, I'd heard as well.
I heard Shane McMahon as well, yeah.
Brought in
and obviously it was just to kind of get, the people off the trail that Cody was coming.
I mean, I don't think that like they couldn't have thrown anyone off the trail. It was like the biggest open secret.
But no, dude, again, WrestleMania, they were saying that the flight was cancelled and stuff like this, and I'm like, that sounds very unlikely. So I think WWE were doing fake news. I hate to use that term, but it's the only term. It's the most accurate term we got now at the moment.
Yeah, that's very Cody.
Stuff,
Cody.
It wasn't outside the realm possibility, but when you heard it, you're like, no, this has happened. But man, so again, Seth Rollins demanded the match. came out, did his whole thing. That weird coat thing he was wearing.
Man,
it's
okay.
very
So
weird.
Seth Rollins, I'm so conflicted on.
Same.
He has major go away heat. No. Well, let me finish.
Go on, I'll let you finish. Yeah.
I don't. He doesn't generate heel heat for me. I don't want to see him get beaten. I don't want to see him get his comeuppance. I just don't want to see him. He has major go away heat for me until the bell rings.
Right.
And when the bell rings, he's excellent. He is brilliant in the ring. I just don't know what it is about this character. I can't have it. But again, once the bell rings, he's Seth Rollins, and they had a hell of a match here tonight or last night.
They sure did, and it was like, again, I wasn't expecting much from this. I'll be honest with you. Like, I really like Seth Rollins. I don't like this character. I think it does him no favors. But I mean, he likes it. He seems to be having a good time. He went into Vince's office demanding the match because he didn't have one, and people were like, "It's going to be Cody." Again, we didn't know. Obviously, we didn't know until he was introduced. I was shocked. Well, one, I'm still shocked he has that horrendous tattoo. And I'm like, they didn't.
Not a whole pilot can do about it.
Well, there's laser surgery. There's concealer they can get to. They can do it. They could get the blue dot with digital things. They can they can do loads of things. Is what I'm saying. They're
pretty adamant that they wanted Cody though. Like maybe he had it in his contract that he keeps the tattoo.
The tattoo stays. We're a package deal. It is. Look, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks it's the worst tattoo, probably in human history.
It's like anything. It's when you first saw it was really weird and galling, but I mean, he's had it for that long now, and to be fair to him, like, he owns it. He's not ashamed of it, or
I really would be. I would pay to have all the pictures of it scrubbed off the internet after I got it removed.
I don't know. I think at this stage, it's just, for me now, it's just part of the furniture. Yeah. What I thought was worse was the time he dyed his hair black, and he looked like your man from that children's show. What is it, Tarrytown or something like that? I thought that was worse than the tattoo.
I think it's maybe because the cameras are better in WWE, where I can actually see it, and I'm just looking at it the whole time going, you paid for that. You said that was a good idea. It's like, what were you thinking?
But he had his full AEW name,
and
his
ring.
full AEW music.
Yep.
Ring gear.
Yep.
Like, it was AEW's Cody Rhodes who showed up.
And look, it's funny because I honestly wasn't, all joking aside, I wasn't expecting him to come out with the music. I wasn't expecting him to come out with the AEW belt and the weird little belt he has that he doesn't actually use. And
they even referred to him in their press release as the 3-time TNT champion.
That is interesting.
That was weird, yeah.
Now, I'm not surprised, but I am kind of like disappointed that they didn't say AEW, because I think that would have been a cool thing to hear. Where they're like, if we went to AEW, like they said, the Prodigal Son returns after 6 years or something. And I'm like, yeah, where did he go? It's like what WWE used to. It's like what they used to do with TNA guys. They're like, oh, down in Florida, and you're like, what was in Florida? Disneyland? Was he at Disneyland for a while? Just down in Florida,
rollerblading, sunbathing,
just hanging out, But yeah, no, look, the presentation was top notch. He really came off as a superstar.
Oh, a big deal, yeah.
And I'm not a Cody fan, but this Cody is pretty cool, I would have to say. Like, I mean, obviously going in as the face, like, I was watching something yesterday. Can't remember who it was. It was one of the YouTube channels, and they were saying what Cody said about himself, apparently, to Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon, and that. And he's like, oh, I'm the best wrestler. Like, unironically, he's like, I'm the best wrestler of all time, and I want to show it. And I'm like, oh no, Cody, what are you doing? You're going to set yourself up for disappointment there, buddy.
Well, look, he
could be working everybody.
Yeah, but he got the entrance, he got the debut of someone who regards himself as the best wrestler of all time. He followed it up with a hell of a match.
Did really did.
Now, as we were saying, that's not to say that that's the way he'd be presented in 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
But on the night, it was a hell of a debut. It was a hell of a match.
The match was great. The match was the only bit I didn't like. I love the Crossroads exchange. The bit I didn't like is when he did the Dusty thing. I was like, that took me out of the match completely.
The shake, rattle, and roll.
Yeah, I was like, this is silly. It was silly when Road Dogg did it. It's silly when you do it. It just takes me out of it completely. But then it ended quite strong. Now, Martin, my real question for you. This is one thing that you can bet on, I suppose. Over under to the re-debut of Stardust.
Oh.
I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I can't wait.
So we maybe get the 6 months of that, like you were saying, that new car feel or that new toy Vince has, and see how he gets along with that. But I imagine, at some stage down the line, I'm not even saying that he'll go back to being Stardust, but I imagine at some stage down the line there'll be a storyline where he's going through his past and all that, and we'll see some sort of reemergence of the Stardust character. You actually, when we were chatting with Dave, #save Dave, on WhatsApp or the Messenger or whatever it was, put up the debut of Stardust, the video, and man,
it was really good. That was a good debut.
It was difficult for me.
Look, all joking aside, I really like the Stardust gimmick. I'd buy a Stardust T-shirt.
I think
and wear it
to Cody. I think to Cody it represents everything he did not want to be.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm like, if I ever get a chance to meet Cody, I want to make sure I have my Stardust T-shirt on.
Have we checked the WWE webpage, because they recently had Cody back on the roster, but they had his Stardust picture. So I wonder if they've changed that.
I'd imagine so. He is all like he's all over WWE.com actually. Like there he is there behind the scenes, front and center. He did look really good. Now, all joking aside, and we are making a lot of jokes, but it's very funny at the same time.
I mean, it's pretty good indicator of how talent's going to move back and forth in the future.
Well,
I think this is a tacit admission from WWE that AEW is a major promotion and is competition, and that it's worth looking at their guys and seeing if he can entice them over. And maybe it'll not be like it was at the height of sort of the Monday Night Wars, but I think we will see a sort of a back and forth movement of talent.
But this is what we were saying. We were saying, is it if Cody comes over and he's not handled correctly? Again, this could all just be a play where they're like, right, we'll bring him over 6 months and then back down you go. But again, WWE don't really have that many faces that they can work on. They actually really needed a star, and Cody is that star. But it's cool because now you can have a look at some of the guys that are there. MJF, I believe, is probably going to be the next one to jump, I'll be honest with you, from what I'm hearing. Because
I'm so torn on that, because I think on the one hand, I think he's just trolling people, because I think he knows he wouldn't really be allowed to be, his true MJF on WWE television. But then again, I mean, there's no more way of generating heel heat with AEW fans than if he were to go to WWE.
But here's the thing: if the thing about the Monday Night Wars, and we obviously do a show that's like deeply rooted in the Monday Night Wars. It's that talent would go back and forward, and it would be a money game. Like I'm not gonna lie. Because we're watching it on our timeline, I did get big Jeff Jarrett WCW vibes off Cody. Now I'm like, this feels, I've seen this before. This is feels very like Jeff Jarrett in WCW, But I mean, it is cool for AEW guys who maybe aren't happy that there are new talents coming in from WWE or elsewhere, where they're like, okay, we can go to WWE for a while and then come back, you know, and it's never impossible before.
You can see a whole storyline with MJF where he would go off to WWE and then come back to AEW and complain about how now he's back in the minor leagues, haven't been in the big leagues. Like, that'll get you massive heat with AEW fans.
I don't know if it's real or not, but you guys can go on the internet and see people burning AEW cards and
all, Cody's figures and all that crap.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? That's just I don't know. I'm like, wrestling is weird, but that's very weird.
I fully believe that people who are that nuts exist, but also I instantly mistrust anything I see on Twitter.
That's fair, and I think that's a better way of going about things. But I saw it, and I'm like, whoa, Cody's having a good time. He'll be back in AEW eventually. He'll be back being Stardust eventually. I know I'll be right with the world. You know, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a big AEW fan, and I'm a big Cody fan, and I mean,
nobody's perfect, right?
If you're genuinely a fan of someone, you can't look at that debut, that match they had, and be anything other than happy for them.
Yeah, look, you know, I'm watching AEW a lot more that Cody isn't in it. It's wonderful. And obviously I'm not a Cody fan, but I will have to say, you know, and that's where you and I differ, Martin, but what I will say is that debut, that match was brilliant. And fair play, you know, I mean, if Cody's able to go off and become this huge star for WWE, I mean, why would you be happy for that? You get to watch Cody anyway, because most AEW fans have the network anyway. It's just the way it is. Every wrestling fan has the network.
I'll be watching Raw on Monday for the first time in...
Interesting.
What? 4 years maybe.
You poor man. I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. I can't watch Raw live anymore. It's the worst. It's terrible. It's awful.
Oh yeah. Well, look, it's purely to see what the crack is with Cody.
Just watch it on YouTube. They post it the next day. They post like clips.
Maybe I'll do that. I'm pretty tired already, and I haven't even seen part 2 of WrestleMania yet.
Oh man, like I the only bit of WWE I watch now is from their YouTube, or you know what's posted on Twitter, other than the pay-per-views, because just those shows. SmackDown is actually pretty good, to be fair. I can stomach SmackDown, but I can't stomach Raw. It's 3 hours. It's too long. Right, so we are going to get into night 2 in a little bit, but they're kind of our overall thoughts. So overall, with night 1, I'm going to go down here to the most reliable source of wrestling that there is, Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
And we're going to have a quick look here. So the show started off, it wasn't brilliant, I'll be honest with you, for a while.
No,
you know,
but I think the first match can kind of gets a bye because of the injury to Boogs.
Dude, when that happened, I was like, this is a weird thing to do, an injury angle at WrestleMania? And then you're like, okay, so maybe that's what they want to do. And then you see his knee, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, and I'm just crawling to the edge and tagging Nakamura. And
no.
That's him.
After the match, when, the Usos are kind of, you know, jaw-jacking with the two of them, and then they have the knee pad off.
Oh,
and it's just this purple mess, and you're like, oh whoa, that was real, all right. He is hurt.
Yeah,
really
it must have just popped.
It must have just popped.
He didn't get a blow to it or anything. It was when he was lifting the two guys, and it must have just snapped on him.
So I can't remember who he had on his shoulder. So for anyone who wasn't watching it, about midway,
both the Usos.
Yeah, so about 3 minutes into the match, he had one of the Usos up on his shoulders, and then it was a terrible spot. The other, I would have complained about it anyway. The other Uso jumped up, and he wasn't like caught or anything. He literally just jumped on his shoulders, and the minute he jumped on them, Boogs just kind of fell to his floor, and I'm like, oh, they messed up the spot. And then he, as you said, Martin, painfully walked over, tagged in Nakamura, and then was kind of gone. And what must have happened, when he jumped on him, his knee just went pop, and that was it.
Yeah,
and you can see it. It looked horrible.
Oh, it was horrendous. Now, fair play to the Usos and to Nakamura. I mean, the obviously shortened this way down, but they brought the match to an end. But even before that, I don't know. I can't get into the WWE version of Nakamura. Boogs, I'm not a huge fan of.
He's a good guitar player. If he's actually playing guitar, he's actually pretty decent.
Oh yeah, if that's him genuinely playing on the way down, yeah.
And it looks like it actually might be, because he's pretty good. I was like, well, man, fair play. That's not easy.
I think when we go through this match by match, you're probably not going to get the sense of it that you did watching it live of the show as a whole.
Yeah.
I think maybe the show got by on 3 or 4 really big, really great moments.
Yes.
And the rest of it was just kind of there. So overall, the show felt pretty good. But I think maybe once we go through it one at a time, it might take the shine off it a wee bit.
And that's actually a very good point, Martin. I agree with you 100%. If those big moments weren't there, this would have been a very, very disappointing show. And it's funny because, again, I went back to watch WrestleMania 14, which isn't a great WrestleMania, but has some fun moments. And WrestleMania 15 is a terrible WrestleMania, but one of my favourite ones. Sometimes that happens. It happens more often nowadays, where WrestleMania is moments, and it's mostly terrible. But, I mean, it was... Watching the show, I was kind of bored, I'll be honest with you. I was like, for the love of God, something happened. And then a big moment would happen, and you're like, whoa, this is amazing. And then you'd kind of go down a bit. And then you're like, whoa, this is amazing. And then you'd go down a bit. But
just tied you over to the next.
But the fact that it ended the way it did, and I can't emphasize that enough. If this had been a 9-hour show, I think I would have a much different appreciation for WrestleMania Night 1. Having Austin in the main event winning against Kevin Owens, that was going to be, infinite stars. Infinite stars. It was the greatest thing I've seen in years. And I mean...
Oh, it was incredible.
It really was incredible. And I'm like, it didn't need anything else. It just needed that. Here's the weird thing, though, and it was brought up on The Observer today, right? Why didn't they announce it? If I hadn't known, I'll be honest with you, this is not a joke. If I hadn't known that was Austin's last match, I would have bought a ticket to WrestleMania, and I'd be there now. That is not a joke, not an exaggeration. Because nobody knew. Why did they do that? Just tell people what's going on.
Bizarre, yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they didn't know themselves what he was going to be fit to do.
But Martin, here's the thing, right? I was actually thinking, I was going to say it on the show, so I'm going to say it anyway. I think it was during the Drew McIntyre match, and I was like, you know what? There was a time when I would have loved going to WrestleMania. I would have and I just couldn't afford it, for one point or another. It's a lot of money to go after WrestleMania, something like $3,000 or something like that. It's particularly for us in Ireland, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I would have loved it. And then I was like, Jesus, even if you paid me to go, I wouldn't do it. I believe I said that. I was talking to someone, I was like, I couldn't pay me to go there, because there was not really anything. It was just a show. And if I had known that I was Austin last match, I would have paid it. I would have happily paid it. Would have paid nearly more. But,
it means like why they didn't have him come out on Raw
and do that segment there.
And do that segment and drop a stunner and say, I'll see you at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
My career has needed closure and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like the only thing I can think of is that they didn't know themselves until the day what he was going to be up for.
It's wild.
What he was going to be fit to do.
It's wild.
Because he could have gone up, he could have showed up on the night and done the segment, dropped the stunner, threw the beer around, and the crowd would have been happy with that.
Mm. Now, I will encourage everybody who's listening or watching to go to the Observer YouTube channel, and Brian Alvarez is talking about it, and he makes a very good point. He's like, usually, because again, I'm not a wrestler, before a match they'd warm up and then go out and do the match, which makes sense. You warm up before you do anything. And he was saying that because there was 10 minutes of talking, he didn't get a chance to warm up. So if you actually watch the match starts really slow because that's him actually warming up. And then when he's warm about, 5 minutes into it, he starts,
you can really see it
start booking, and you're like, whoa, this is proper Stone Cold Steve Austin that was just latent there or dormant for like 19 years. And I'm a little bit annoyed by WWE about this because, man, again, now they do inflate their numbers. So they said there were 75,000 or something there, and apparently it was closer to 55.
55 they sold. I mean, and that's bloody impressive. Like, I don't know why
they would have sold. They would have actually sold double that if they had been like, this is Austin's last ever match
in Texas.
Like, I mean, come on. Like, whoever's in that marketing department, maybe go back to school and realize how you're supposed to market something.
Because they did, like, when they made it part of this KO thing, like, everyone, I think, just got the impression, he'll show up, he'll drop a stunner, he'll drink some beer,
that's
blah,
what
blah, blah.
Thought. Yeah, that's what everyone thought, yeah.
So look, it was a great surprise on the night. You got a hell of a lot more than you thought you were going to get. But yeah, in terms of promoting it, it does seem to be, a bit of a whoopsie.
So anyway, so look, the first match was a bit of a dud, not by their fault. It was just kind of what happened. Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin gimmick is the worst thing ever.
It's I don't even watch WWE, and I already feel like I've seen Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin 100 times.
Yeah, I got the same vibe. I'm like, there's no, they're using the sword. Drew McIntyre tried to kill him with the sword at one point.
They were doing the sword thing back when we reviewed the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
this is still going on.
The sword looks cool, but I mean, like a sledgehammer. If you hit someone with a sledgehammer, you're going to jail, right? You're going to jail for a long time. If you hit someone with a sword, that's called attempted murder. And
it's ridiculous. Like, you might as well come out with a gun.
Exactly, it's ridiculous. Like, it really is. So, I mean, when I was watching the video package, and the video packages were quite good, to be fair, I was like, oh, this is really dumb. And the match was extremely disappointing. Like, obviously, Drew won. He was always going to win. But the crowd were like, okay,
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, because they've seen it 100 bloody times.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I would say is, look, WWE makes the best video packages.
They do.
Out of any company.
They do, yeah.
But they make far too many of them. One issue I had with this was it felt so stilted between the actual. So you would have, like, what'd the first match go? 6 minutes?
Yeah.
So you'd have a 6-minute match, and then you'd have
a 4-minute video package.
You'd have a video package for whatever the match was tomorrow night, and then you'd have an ad for Snickers, and then you'd have an ad for Geico, and then you'd have a video package about the next upcoming match, and then there'd be a video package for WrestleMania next year, and then you'd get to the next match. And it just felt like the time between matches at some points felt interminable.
But you know what they're trying to do? I don't know. Have you ever watched the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So the Super Bowl, or even American football, again, I wouldn't have huge exposure to it that much. But, when I'd be over in the States with family, it was actually explained to me at Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. The whole point of it, the reason why they do the ads the way they do is so people can enjoy, it's an experience. And I think WWE is trying to do WrestleMania like the Super Bowl, like literally, where the matches, they're kind of there, but it's supposed to be a whole kind of day thing where you get food, you watch stuff, you have a couple of drinks, you're supposed to watch it with people, and the wrestling happens, but you don't want to pack it all in because
people who aren't wrestling fans during the year still tune in for it in the same way that
and I think it makes sense when you watch it that way. It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. Obviously, again, we're coming at it from the point of view of 3 a.m. in Ireland.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I mean, sorry for interrupting you. I mean,
no, go ahead.
For anyone who isn't in Ireland or the UK, you don't understand. You don't understand what that's actually like. It's very, it's crazy to think about. It really is. You're like, we're watching wrestling at 3 in the morning, and you just want it to be over, and no matter how good it is, you're like, I want to go to bed.
The other thing I found was that so this was 4.5 hour pay-per-view.
Yeah.
When you count up the matches, there was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Of wrestling.
Yeah.
So this was there was 3 hours of non-wrestling on this wrestling pay-per-view. Like, it's okay. I get that. Yeah, they're trying to make it an all-day kind of festival thing, but I think there needs to be a better balance in that. Like, I found huge parts of this particularly between matches, really dragged for me.
Yeah, no, I preferred the fact that it was broken up and there was no weird music performances, because the Kid Rock concerts and stuff, they're just
Oh
you
God,
just can't, there's no reason for them. There really isn't. But yeah, look, the Miz, Logan Paul, and the Mysterio thing again. I was ready to just turn it off and go to bed. At that point, I was like, I don't like the Mysterios. Dominic is a good wrestler, but needs to get away from being a Mysterio. I hate Logan Paul with a passion that burns of 1,000 suns. And the Miz hasn't been relevant in years. So it's like there's nothing here for anybody except for, grabbing some headlines that may or may not work. Funny enough, the match that we're getting later on tonight, I'm much more excited about for all the reasons that I wasn't with Logan Paul. Logan Paul looked, again, I hate that we're talking about him, because, I mean, this is a WCW thing. David Arquette at least was a wrestling fan. Logan Paul is just a fool, and it just is. Like, the stuff he's done is horrendous.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, people were going, oh, he was really good. Like, he has a lot of natural talent for it. And yeah, I mean, he was good for what he did in the ring, but I just can't get past how much I dislike him.
Yeah, I mean, like,
to be honest,
won. And like, listen, here's what you do, right? If you book someone like that, book them to get battered.
Yeah,
like, absolutely banjoed, because that's what everybody wants to happen.
or made a fool out of it some way.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is why they need someone like The Undertaker. Big evil Booger Red coming out and choke slamming him through 6 tables would be the best thing in the world. It's like,
I mean, it also doesn't kind of make sense that you have, because if people talk about how great Logan Paul did, and they talk about how great Bad Bunny did and all that.
Bad Bunny did do well, actually.
Yeah, he did, but at the same time, it doesn't make the sport look great that you can be a singer and come in and just be really good at it. Like, it's...
No, I understand that.
But again, probably putting too much thought into it.
No, I mean, WrestleMania has this. Your one Snooki from Jersey Shore was there. If you're going to have a celebrity, your man from Arrow was there against Stardust in a 5-star classic. I mean, it is what it is. Logan Paul feels like a throwback from like 4 years ago. He doesn't really seem relevant in the center, But look, it is what it is.
To be honest, this whole pay-per-view didn't really kick off for me until the next match. That's when it started to get.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean,
up.
I had that on in the background. I was watching it on my computer. I wasn't even watching it on TV, and I had the network up on one screen, and I was kind of just going, all right. And then when Becky showed up, that's when the pay. I agree. When Becky showed up, that's when the pay-per-view started.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we have actual wrestlers here now. Okay.
Yeah, let's kick this thing off.
Exactly, yeah. I'm like, right, the nonsense is kind of over. And it was like 2:15 or something at that point. And I was like, right, it's going to be a long night, but settle it in. And it did kind of pick up. And it sustained itself until Charlotte came out and killed the show again. And then it went back up. But those dips, as you said, that kind of sine wave, that's what... To be fair, it's a good way to book a WrestleMania, because you're not wearing the crowd out, but they should have had a better opener. And to be honest with you, again, they probably did. People get hurt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just don't imagine that Usos versus Nakamura and Boogs was going to be a brilliant match anyway. It doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't kick off with an absolute banger.
Yeah, but there were no absolute bangers there to start off with.
Well, that's fair, to be honest. Yeah. But like, mind a couple of years ago, they kicked off with Lesnar and Rollins, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like, kick off with a bang. Don't kick off with the Usos and Boogs.
I mean, all the lads are kind of spoken for. I mean, this is what, again, WrestleMania 15 kicks off with a really good hardcore title match, which, I mean, that's why you have these belts that you can do stuff with.
Well, but sure, look, they have belts to do nothing. Like,
that's it.
We're not seeing the Intercontinental title. We're not seeing the US title. Bloody Finn Balor was in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale
It's
that
a
was
shame.
on bloody SmackDown.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Like,
it really is.
Like, it just they don't have the roster, as you say, to book big matches for everybody, just because they don't have the wrestlers to put in them. Like, one of the reasons they were saying that the Battle Royale was on SmackDown rather than WrestleMania was because they didn't have enough bodies to fill it.
I mean, it really speaks volumes to the problems with WWE. You know, it's like they got rid of all the guys that would have those bangers, like Samoa Joe and Finn Balor for the US title. There's an opener. That'd be unreal. Oh no,
Yep.
Samoa Joe's gone. You know, it's...
and would put a bit of sort of prestige back on the likes of the US or the Intercontinental title. The other thing that's missing is, I mean, there's no NXT representation on this at all.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
But I thought maybe they would have used it to try and push, the likes of Braun Breaker.
That's all they have. They just have Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
And he showed up to talk about his dad, who they won't reference, which is weird.
That's a Steiner.
It's like, just call him a Steiner. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Just pay them.
Just...
pay them whatever it is they're demanding to use the name.
Yeah, I mean, like, if Braun Breaker's known as Braun Steiner, and then imagine Scott Steiner being his manager and cutting his promos.
Class.
It would be unreal.
Because Scott was at the Hall of Fame and he was actually really good crack.
Ah man, I was amazed how like restrained he was, because obviously we were watching him on our timeline, and he is just cutting these insane promos and having these amazing matches, and I'm just like,
properly starting fights with members of the audience.
Oh, I love Scott Steiner.
He's unhinged.
He's the best. He's the best. So actually, funny and true story. So remember, you know the whole the TNA Matt promo where he's like, you have this 42% of the... So,
33 and a third.
So if you are on that episode of Impact, I'm actually on the episode of Impact. Me and my dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because what they used to do is they would block tape. And we are going to go to a break on this one, because we are getting to the point where we have to on Phoenix FM. But, yeah, so I'm actually... Me and my dad are there. And they would do block tapings of Impact. So we were there for like 5 episodes. But they ran those for like the next 3 or 4 months. So randomly I was watching Impact and I'm like, oh, there we are. And it just so happened to be just before that segment. So if you ever find that segment, you'll see me and my dad randomly in the Impact zone.
Come here, how much did if they had tapings for 3 or 4 months, like how long were these tapings that you went to?
Oh, they did. Well, they shot like 4 or 5 episodes in a row. So they were like, 5-hour tapings, like. And
the same crowd the whole time.
Oh yeah. It was bizarre. It was during the Kurt Angle Samoa Joe thing. So they would shoot all the promos, and Kurt Angle would walk out and be like, "Last week," and like he'd do the whole segment and then come back and go, "So last week this happened." And you're like, "Kurt, we just saw you." Like 5 minutes. I suppose just it was hilarious.
I suppose it's something that they're doing now on Rampage. Even like they'll have a match on Dynamite and then they'll have to come out an hour later and go, on Wednesday.
It's just, kind of, it takes you out of the wrestling a little bit when you're like, come on now, lads. Seriously. But anyway, look, we're going to have to take a quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to finish up this card and then go to predictions. Martin, is there anything you want to plug for the listeners of Phoenix FM?
No, like I say, it's WrestleMania night. No matter how jaded you get as a wrestling fan, there's always that bit of nostalgia that pulls you back into Mania. So, give it one more go. Fingers crossed. Maybe it'll go well this time.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, guys. When we get back, obviously, we'll be back on Phoenix FM. But yeah, again, if this is your first time checking out the stream, like, subscribe, and it's your first time checking it out on Phoenix FM, go to Nerd to Know Media and, of course, the WrestlingRewind.com. We'll see you in a few minutes. You have nothing else to do on a Saturday? Do you like nerd things? Now check out Nerd to Know Basis here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, 5 PM to 6 PM, and then head over to nerdtoknowmedia.com for all of our shows as part of the Nerd to Know Media radio network.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.
We are the wasted
And folks, we're back live here on Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff on Phoenix 32.5 FM. If it's your first time checking us out, please do like, subscribe, spread the word of the show, and of course tune in as well, because that really helps us. And if you're in the chat, we want to hear from you. Again, we're going to talk more about WrestleMania 38 and predictions for night 2, which is 57 minutes away. So we're getting there. So yeah, Martin, before we went to break, in the last segment we were talking about the show kind of started with the next match, which was Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship on Raw.
This is where it started to feel a wee bit more like WrestleMania.
Yeah, it did. No, it genuinely did. Apparently there is a segment where Bianca cut Becky's hair, which, I mean, that's a bit attitude error for me in the wrong way. I mean, Becky doesn't really seem like someone who would be upset by that. But
no, I tell you what, I think losing here is probably the best thing that's happened to Becky in a while. I think it's an opportunity for her to disappear for a wee while, get rid of this big time Bex character.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Get rid of this heel stuff. She's not a heel. The crowd's cheering her no matter what.
Yeah.
And have her come back as Becky Lynch and let her do her thing again, you know?
I mean, yeah, the story didn't really work for me. Bianca Belair, I don't see it. I genuinely don't. I know some people will probably disagree with me, and that's fair enough. I don't see it. I really don't. There are other women there that, although, to be honest with you, no, I take it back. To be honest with you, maybe as a champion now, with a fresh coat of paint and a fresh run at it, she might actually be able to do it, because there are women there who can fulfill that role in a more holistic way. Charlotte Flair is also someone who needs to just go away. Like, we'll get to that. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But I mean, like, Bianca Belair, I didn't feel it in either. Like, the match was really good. I didn't want Becky to win because, as you said, she needs that time to come back as a face and have it on it. Bianca Belair,
that title has almost been an albatross around her neck.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. But even the way it's kind of, the match was very, it was a good match, but ended kind of with an oomph.
Because even the way she won the belt was stupid. You know, like that. Like, I think this is the best thing that could have happened to her character.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, big time Bex, the angle didn't work. I did like the entrance. I thought the entrance was quite cool. But I was just like, nah, that haircut's a bit weird. The look's a bit weird. The glasses thing. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, she'll come back as a. The music also didn't really work. But
not with that character, no.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. I mean, I respect her for trying. I think, you know, when she comes back as the face, it'll be a good refreshment for everybody to be like, okay, we can cheer Becky again.
Yeah.
And you know, Bianca Belair as the new champion, I didn't buy her as a chaser, if that makes sense. But as a champion, she might be able to do it. But she is going to have these great matches. And
yeah, I mean, she's a hell of an athlete.
Undoubtedly.
She's a great look. She has, you know, the character. It's just a matter of how she's presented. I definitely see her being able to pull off a kind of a fighting champion, almost an Adam Cole style gimmick.
See, this is what I'm saying to you. It depends who she's going against. She's not strong enough on her own to be able to get over as like a Becky Lynch champion. You know, like a good Becky Lynch champion, not that last run, or a. I mean, most of the guys can't do it. You know, to be fair, like they really can't. But this could be a thing where she is able to reset and go, right, the fighting champion thing, we're going to put this belt on the line all the time, and then she ends up winning that adoration more than just the look that she has. And she has a cool look. The character's pretty cool, but I mean, I don't buy it. You know, I'm like, there's something just off. And it's very much, it's like the opposite of Charlotte Flair, where, again, on paper, Charlotte Flair is the real deal. She's everything you want in a female wrestler, but all I want to see her is to go away and never come back. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite, because you want Bianca Belair to be great and to do great things, but she just isn't getting the opportunity. And then Charlotte Flair is, in theory, doing all those things, but you're like, oh my God, please go away. You know?
So this was Bianca and Becky, like I say, the right result.
A long match. Long match too.
It was nearly 20 minutes. Had the right result. It was a good match. It was a really good match.
It was.
It was good showing from both wrestlers. The only thing is, and I'm a big Becky Lynch fan, but the only thing is, she needs to do something about that shocked face when she only gets a 2 count.
Yeah.
She's running up to the referee, being all shocked. It just, it's very NXT, looking at your hands. You know,
it does. No, you know what it is. It's, you know, when you're playing the WWE 2K games, and you're playing with a creator wrestler, and then that's what it is. That's what it feels like. It feels like it doesn't. Again, looking at us the way Austin wrestles, right, and it feels real. I hate to use that word, but there we go. It feels real. You get that Austin is turning his personality up to 14.
Yeah.
Becky, you're like, that's not really you. This isn't an extension of you. This is a character that you're playing, and it's just not working. Now, Bianca Belair, she feels more natural as a performer doing what she's doing, you know?
Like herself, yeah.
Like herself, and that comes across.
The man version of Becky Lynch, you know, that everybody fell in love with, that character never would have complained to the ref about a 2 count.
No.
You know?
No. And look, I know some people listening to this going, oh, but she's a heel now. I'm like, yeah, but
it's not working.
But it's not convincing. Nothing she did that was really heelish. Like, complaining to the ref isn't a heel move. It is if you're playing the cowardly chicken you know what heel, but that wasn't even this character. She was just supposed to be above everything. So why would she be complaining about it, you know? And
they're piping in boos whenever she comes out, but the boos don't match up with
the crowd freaking out that she's there.
The crowd is all there holding up like Becky Lynch signs, and there's boo sounds coming. It's like, she's not a heel. No. She's just not.
It's like Triple H. Triple H is never a face outside of DX. He's a heel.
Yeah.
A full-blown heel. And even when he's a face, it's still kind of, they're cheering him because they love him rather than because he's being a heel, you know? Or sorry, they're cheering him even when he's a heel, even though, you know, that kind of thing. Some guys just can't do the both, you know?
Yeah, it's like the $1 Million Man was never going to be a face ever, you know?
No, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, the next match, well, we've already talked about Cody, but I mean, the next match here that we're going to talk about, and the last match we're going to talk about unfairly, before we get back to Austin, was Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. Now, look, I turned away for a little while, missed Ronda Rousey's entrance, came back, and Charlotte was there. And instantly I'm like, oh, I hate this. And I mean, nothing had happened. I was like, she's walking to the ring, and I'm like, I hate this so much. And I shouldn't. I'm like, I missed her in WCW when she was there that one time. You know, when they all went into the ring and David Flair was there. I'm like, I would nearly rather watch David Flair be lost.
Oh,
I know what I'm saying. I know the words I'm saying.
That's a tough one.
I know. I'd rather watch David Flair be lost in the ring wearing his Metallica t-shirt than Charlotte Flair wrestle, because I mean, it's just not interesting anymore. It just isn't. I mean, she's a great wrestler, but she needs a fundamental character change. And I think if she got that might do it. The Ric Flair, look, I'm going to say it now, not a big Ric Flair fan.
Yeah.
I mean, particularly in WCW, like we talk about it, you see how dull it gets. You know, we talk about it, like our lowest ratings usually come from a Ric Flair segment up until the nonsense started happening. Like the real nonsense with everything on a pole match.
I think particularly at our age, I think we came along at a time when we'd probably missed the best of Flair, you know,
Yeah.
his NWA stuff in the 70s and that.
Yeah.
And we were just introduced to this guy, you know, when we were getting into wrestling when we were younger, and we were told he was a legend. We were told he was the best ever and blah, blah, blah. But we never really saw it.
That's true. And I mean, like, look, again, it's not a dig at Ric Flair, but like,
No, like by all accounts, like his earlier stuff was amazing. Like he was having these 60, 70, 80 minutes, you know, insane Broadway matches all over the world.
but see, it wasn't even, but I mean, like, fair. But what's interesting about this kind of wrestling now, where we are, where it's segmented social media wrestling, that doesn't fly. And with Charlotte, it's almost like she's doing what Dominic Mysterio does, but
Yeah.
in a weirder way, where she actually has just taken out. Like Dominic Mysterio is still, and it's not a dig at Dominic. I think he's actually really good, to be fair, but it's damaging him in the same way, but it's a lot more condensed because it's a lot sooner. We've seen Rey Mysterio be Rey Mysterio. We've seen him go out and have these phenomenal matches and redefine what being a cruiserweight and then even what being a world champion means in WWE. As you said, we didn't see it with Ric Flair. All we saw was the robe, the woo, the style and
chops.
profiling, the chops, that kind of stuff. And the fact that Charlotte's coming out and doing that, and just that, it's
well,
very.
Well, here's the thing: is when the company is putting a spotlight on you for an extended period of time, you need to do what Chris Jericho does, and you need to change it up every so often.
Correct.
And you need to be presenting people with something different.
Or even
Charlotte,
Cody. Even Cody.
Or even, yeah, absolutely, even Cody. But Charlotte Flair has been playing the same version of Charlotte Flair since she came up from NXT.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed once, and she can go out there and she's a fantastic wrestler and can have great matches. It doesn't matter because people are so bored of seeing the same thing.
I mean, there are other ways to be the nature boy, for want of a better word. You know, she can still be Charlotte Flair, wrestle the same way, but the presentation of it, even look at Bayley. I love Bayley's original character. I love Heel Bayley. You know, like Heel Bayley's the best thing in the world. But they're fundamentally different things, and I just don't think she wants to do that. But by not doing that, she's making herself into the most unwatchable part of the show at a high level. Like, I mean, the minute she came out, I was like, I can't watch this. And then for like 90 minutes, I was waiting for it to be over. And I love Ronda Rousey. And I was just like, oh, the fact you're in there, Ronda, is hurting you because you're there with somebody that nobody wants to see.
Well, that's the other half of this match, is that Ronda Rousey was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I really hope that WWE fans kind of learn from the way they treated her last time around.
Horrible the way they treated her. Ronda's the best.
Kind of see what they have in Ronda Rousey and, you know, react accordingly this time around.
I mean, look, these are people at the end of the day. And Ronda came from legit martial arts and MMA into wrestling because she loves wrestling
and loves it.
Yeah, and you know, and it was shocking what happened, because it was just like, man, that's something that wouldn't have happened.
It's not even that these are people, like, I wouldn't advocate cheering someone who's not good or who's not trying, but she is really good. Like,
no, but
her matches are great. They have like a real sort of grounded sense of like a genuine fight to them. Like,
well, that's it. You know, I mean, like, yeah, like obviously it's a still competition, you know, to get people to, you know, earn the cheers. But like,
yeah,
when you're doing everything right and you're still you're not getting that reaction. I mean, that's frustration for anybody, you know. But look, it is what it is. Again, we exist in a world that on social media people are burning action figures because they went to a different company. So I'm trying to rationalize this out here. So I don't really. Sometimes you just can't. But no, like Ronda, I was disappointed. Like the ending of this was like straight up WCW. I think this was Lance Storm versus Mike Awesome on the Canadian rules. That's what this was. It's what it felt like.
It was such a bizarre, like, with a kick.
Yeah.
It was so odd.
Like so the end. So what happened was the end of this was Charlotte Flair was beaten. She was tapping. She had got pinned, all that kind of stuff. And then there was a kick after shenanigans, and that was it.
Like, I could have understand if they had done the ref bump, and then I don't know, Charlotte belts her with a chair or with the belt,
or with the belt, or brass knucks, or
But the fact that the referee got distracted and then she turned around into a kick.
Yeah.
It
was
just
very lame.
Very
lame. Yeah. I mean, look, if you're going to do this, and again, it's Ric Flair would have used the knucks. Ric Flair would have done the low blow, would have done the belt shot, would have done the chair shot. Well, maybe not a chair shot, but I mean, this is what I'm saying. Charlotte Flair is a diluted version of Ric Flair, and it's not working anymore. Trying to do these angles or these big endings with a screwy finish that doesn't make any... Again, it's Ronda Rousey, someone who was a legitimate MMA fighter. She knows how she can take a kick and get back up from it. She's
had plenty of them.
Yeah, it's not... It just doesn't fly with me, and it was kind of disappointing. But again, the Austin Kevin Owens segment washed that all away, and I walked out with a high with everybody else. And again, it goes back to what you said, Martin. Going through this does a disservice of this show, because WrestleMania is kind of lame most of the time.
Yeah,
but it's also incredible at the same time.
It's a spectacle as much as anything else. It's not necessarily where you find, it's not Revolution. It's not where you're going to find 10 4 or 5 star matches.
It's not Wrestle Kingdom. It's not Revolution. It's moments.
It's the Super Bowl, like you were saying. Yeah. It's the Super Bowl.
Exactly, and it has moments in it, and that's what carries it over. So going through it like in the manner that we are does it a disservice, because you're like, oh, that didn't sound great. It's like, yeah, a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it was terrible. But what was good was great. Yeah.
My reaction, like waking up this morning, was, the girlfriend goes, "Oh, how was WrestleMania?" This is actually pretty good. But that's because I'm remembering the Cody stuff. I'm remembering the Austin stuff, and everything else just kind of fades away. And when we go through it here one by one, it's not as. But like you're saying, WrestleMania is something you have to take in the round.
Yeah, exactly. You can't sit there and go through it. It's not a 3-course meal at a Michelin star restaurant. It's
and I mean, it's always
it's a dodgy kebab after drinking. That's
and it's always been like that, because look at some of the, like you were saying, some of your favorite WrestleManias aren't necessarily the best. Like, I love WrestleMania 13. That's a dreadful pay-per-view.
Yep.
But I love it because of the Bret Hart Stone Cold match.
Oh yeah.
And the returning Road Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the only remnant of the Attitude Era we still have is WrestleMania, where, I mean, like, it's always going to deliver those big moments, despite how poor the in-ring stuff might actually be. It's the most current remnant of the Attitude Era is in WrestleMania, in the bones of WrestleMania. And that brings us very much to night 2.
Yeah.
So night 2, again, let's scroll up the best source of pro wrestling.
Well, here's
Wikipedia.
Here's the thing about night 2. This is giving me very big WrestleMania 2021 vibes, because I think if you think back, WrestleMania last year, night 1 was great, and night 2 was largely a dud.
Yeah.
And like, I'm looking through the list of matches we have tonight, and man, apart from the main event, there's nothing here I care about.
See, that's surprising, right? And I do understand it, but I'm kind of excited about a couple of matches. So I'm going to just touch on the ones that I actually am excited about and kind of jump in and whatever. So,
okay,
the Sami Zayn Johnny Knoxville thing.
Yeah, that's going
to be fun. Like, it's going to be a fun, hardcore match.
I see there being some sort of huge, insane stunt lined up for this.
And I'm like, okay, I'm in on this. This could be cool, right? I mean, I of all the celebrities, Knoxville is a pretty good grab, because he does seem like he's up for the crack and will go for it,
Yeah, he's the type of guy you could bring in and talk into doing something daft.
Crazy and wild, and I think that's going to be cool. It could also be a disaster, but I am looking forward to it either way. Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. I really like Pat McAfee. Like, legit. He's one of the best commentators, and I love his energy. I think he's gas. I'm excited to see what he's able to do with Austin Theory. I think it'll be a good 5-minute match, right?
If they keep it to that.
Yeah, but they probably will. To be fair, they probably will.
I'm not as excited for this one because it doesn't have the build that like the Pat McAfee Adam Cole match did.
Right.
He was just sort of told on his talk show that he's going to have a match at WrestleMania. And also it's one of those things where like it's not WWE's fault because fans booked this themselves, but the rumor at the time was that it was going to be Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon, and we were all very excited for that.
Yeah. No, that's the thing about fans booking what they want. It can't really, guys. You know what you do? You get 2K22, you make Vince, Pat McAfee, and there we go, and it's all done. Because I have to say that game was real good. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's super fun. But I mean, guaranteed it's going to be a good Pat McAfee. So,
do you have to make Vince? Is he in it as a playable character, or
no? Sure, you can download him. Like,
all right.
Yeah. And then Edge versus AJ Styles. Now, I hope this isn't a single match. If this is a singles match, it's not going to be brilliant. I hope they change it to be a Falls Count Anywhere or a TLC or something with a bit of grit to it. And then I think we could be talking about something a little bit different here. But as a singles match, it's a bit meh.
Well, it's not going to be TLC because apparently TLC, the pay-per-view has been revived for the next Saudi show.
Oh.
So the next Saudi show is going to be TLC.
No, this is the problem of doing... Okay, look.
Yeah, so matches, we won't get that.
No, pay-per-views shouldn't be matches.
100% agree.
Because it ruins your booking ability. So the story with this one is, I want the old AJ back. And AJ could be like, well, I want the old Edge back, and let's do it in a way that made you famous, TLC. And that would be cool. But no,
awesome.
I mean, it's not hard to book a wrestling show.
So who do you have going over here?
I think AJ's going over. I think AJ needs it.
Think so? Yeah.
Yeah, like he's looked atrocious going into this. Edge has everything on AJ on this one.
Yeah, what was I haven't been watching the weekly shows. Like, what was the build to this? I remember people posting memes about Sonic the Hedgehog because Edge was going out in this weird blue light and getting really intense.
Yeah, so basically the build was Edge was kind of, he didn't like that people thought he was just good guy Edge. So he says, I'm going to do an open challenge. AJ was like, I'll fight you. And then he smashed his head in with a couple of chairs and said, right. I want the old Edge back, not the B word of almost. He actually
wants the old AJ back.
Yeah, the old AJ back. And then, so, I mean, like...
okay, look. I mean, they're two excellent wrestlers.
I mean, Dave's going to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. Dave's going to be doing cartwheels. But, I don't know. I think it needs more than just a singles match. I think with WrestleMania, like, there's a line. You don't want to do WCW gimmick everything on a pole match.
Yeah.
By the way, when we do Fall Brawl, you're in for a treat, Martin.
Well, we've already had like 3 or 4 WCW pay-per-views in a row where there were more gimmick matches than straight matches on the show.
Yeah, and I think there is there is room for them. But on WrestleMania, you should have gimmick matches because if there is a night you're going to do it, you're going to wheel it out. Like, here's what you do. Go and play the new 2K game and play GM mode, and it actually shows you how to book shows really well. Like, it's I don't know why they can't do it like that in real life, but you have your gimmick matches to pay off, and a lot of this is kind of reset. Like, to be fair, the Bobby Lashley almost is probably going to be the worst thing in human history. I don't know why that exists.
Neither do I.
I
And
don't want to see it.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
Because almost they're building as a monster, so he has to win. But also, Bobby Lashley was just the world champion and is back from an injury, and he has to win. Like,
Well,
there's
see,
no...
well, see what you do, Martin. What they've probably done, Martin, is they've probably been like, listen, if you let him beat you in 4 minutes, you can go and play golf down the road. And that's probably what Bobby Lashley's only thinking about.
Or maybe smash through the barricade, double count out.
Well, maybe, but all I know is, man, Bobby Lashley's just thinking about the golf course that's somewhere in Texas. Like, people don't believe me. Like, this is all he thinks about. He loves golf. It's
Surely,
legit. Like,
surely though, they're bound to know that in Omos to have a genuinely impressively huge man. He doesn't look human. He's like a
huge.
literal giant.
8 foot tall, like legit.
But he's not a great wrestler. You know, like, they're bound to know that.
But I mean, like, okay, so
But then again, they put the belt on Kali, so what do I know?
Took the words out of my mouth. Like, what do you deal with him? Do you give him a run with the belt? You can't, because, like, Brock Lesnar, and we'll get to that in a second, but Brock Lesnar and Reigns, like, neither one of those are going to do the job to Almost, because then it would say that Almost is the most dominant person in WWE. So, I mean, like, he's just kind of there. And if he, as you said, if he beats Bobby Lashley, it's almost like he's beat Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, because, you know, how close it is to the championship. But then if Almost does win, it means that he is the next de facto I think Almost is winning. Now that I'm going through it, yeah, he'll be the next talent for Lesnar.
And then he'll be the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that's happening. If you actually logically break it down the way WWE think about it, that's probably what they're doing. They're getting ready to feed him to Lesnar or Reigns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely don't see him beating Lesnar or Reigns. Because you couldn't put the belt on him, because you can't have the world title matches while he's holding the belt just be a series of 2-3 minutes. You know, it's all he's capable of. Yeah,
well, I mean, like, his thing with AJ was weird, because, like, AJ was having a great time in there, doing great matches, basically using him as a big pole to jump off. But
it was AJ carrying the whole thing.
And I mean, almost, it's like, he is that spectacle, and I mean, I don't know how relevant that spectacle is now in 2022. You know, I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know, have you ever seen The Big Show in real life?
No, but, like, I assume he's very impressive.
Yeah, so my first house show was like 2005. Kane and The Undertaker I've never seen The Undertaker live, unfortunately. Kane and The Big Show were the tag team champions. Holy hell, The Big Show he's massive. he is a huge man. And you're like, whoa, okay. And I mean, I don't think the TV actually really shows that in any real way. You don't really get it's like the way Randy Orton looks really weird when you see him in real life, particularly in the ring. He's a weird looking lad, proportionally.
There's one guy
see it, you know?
One guy who always got me, and I didn't notice it until I saw him in AEW, was Billy Gunn.
Oh yeah?
He's huge.
But I mean, like, it's just one thing on TV, like, you don't, like, Randy Orton, you don't realise how, like, tall he is until you see him, and then when he does the RKO, you're like, that's incredibly impressive. You know, it's weird, like, TV, for some reason with wrestling, it doesn't capture that scale and scope, so it does. So he must actually be huge.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, in real life he must.
Absolutely. So,
still doesn't mean he can wrestle.
No, but I'm trying to see how they're going to use him. Like, you know,
I mean, the other thing is maybe they've realized that all they have in Omos is a big guy, and maybe they've realized that, and now they're going to have Bobby Lashley go out and beat him and sort of, you know, refire Bobby Lashley back up.
Well, maybe, but like Braun Strowman and Almost would have been a big kind of Clash of the Titans match that they could have built up at WrestleMania, like the way they used to do with the Big Show, where he just wrestle in random people that would show up. So yeah, maybe I can't. It makes more sense to me that Almost is going to win, but again, Bobby Lashley, they could.
What does that do to Lashley though?
Well, Lashley can recover. He'll be off playing golf before the show's even over. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's fine for the person Bobby Lashley, but like, what does it do for? I mean, kind of kills that character. Like, he's just back from. I mean, the way he went out of the Elimination Chamber match was
terrible,
stupid on its own.
It was terrible. I really was.
And then they're going to bring him back and bait him straight away. Like, it's
or you know what? Probably the best way to do it is a double count out brawl finish, where they both go out into the outside. They go through the guardrail, and then they fight out of the arena. Which, I mean, actually, you know, again, not to do fancy booking, but I mean, it would be cool if they did that. Did the fight through the crowd and then just cut back throughout the night. Here's what I would do. I would start the show with almost Bobby Lashley, right? And do that and have them fight all around Texas.
That'd be pretty cool. That gives me a wee bit of like the old Attitude Era vibes. But the show's starting with the New Day versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland. And I think that's a lot like the start of night one. Yeah. I think that's a mistake. Like, I'm sure it'll be a fine match, but it's not the opening banger that you want to open your show with.
See, this is it. Like, again, the reason why WWE are doing it is because it's their Super Bowl pacing. But I mean, if I was booking it there, I would have done that Bobby Lashley almost thing, or even tape it. Just have them start doing it and then have it taped where they play it throughout the rest of the night. Because I mean, that's cool. And then you send them out near the end of the main event, and it's just like, well, they've been fighting all night. And you can have, you know, I think that would just be fun. But you know, I do think it's going to be some kind of... It'll either be a clean, decisive win for almost to bury Lashley, or it'll be a double kind of smallish finish.
Well, the one bet that I would be confident about making would be that we have talked about this match at least twice as long as the match itself will go.
I would say the bet would be everyone's going to be disappointed by the end of it. That's another strong bet right there.
Save money.
So, okay, the New Day, I don't know. I agree with you. I think it's going to be meh. New Day's going to come out.
It'll be a perfectly good starter, but
but
not a WrestleMania opener, you know. And I say that as someone who likes Sheamus, who likes the New Day.
Look, I'm always hesitant to say bad things about Sheamus because I run into him so often. So I'm like, you know, Sheamus, we love you. Don't kill me.
I genuinely really like Sheamus.
No, me too. He's a sound lad. No, legit though. I've run into Sheamus about 4 times randomly in Dublin. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's class. I've never met him.
Oh, I have a signed Sheamus thing up on my wall. I ran into him. I used to work for my old boss. Apparently he's an IT guy. He's actually legit trained at cybersecurity.
Class.
Yeah, I used to work for my old boss. And he's like, yeah, when you used to work in Symantec. And again, this is, you know, whatever. And when I was working for a cybersecurity company, my boss at the time was like, oh yeah, Stephen. Yeah, he used to always be talking about the wrestling, and then he just was like, I'm quitting, I'm going to WWE, and they're like, what? And he goes, yeah. So apparently, like, he just like legit was just talking about nobody actually believed that he would do it, and there you go. So.
And they obviously like him in WWE because he's been around for 15 years at this stage, is it?
He's a dab hand though. Like, to be fair, anytime he comes out and has a match, it's a solid match.
He's really reliable, and whenever they actually put a bit of effort into him, he's more than reliable. His stuff with the Cesaro and the bar, that was bloody great.
But like, even when he, you know, in NXT, well, he was in ECW for a while. That was good, even from day one. But I mean, like, the bar with Cesaro, like, you would think, oh, well, Cesaro's carrying it. No, it was Sheamus going out and actually having these wonderful matches.
Yeah,
but it's just
because they had two different but like really well matched styles. Like they were very different wrestlers, but their styles meshed really well.
The danger here, actually, the match that Sheamus had with Triple H a couple of years ago at WrestleMania was great too.
Oh yeah, like I say, whenever he was given when he's the type of wrestler who you can keep him in the mid card as long as you want, but if you ever need someone, you know, to cover like a big pay-per-view or whatever, you can always push him back into into that role.
My biggest fear with this one is I think, as you said, it does everyone a disservice. A tag match for me isn't a WrestleMania match, right? And unfortunately,
But it's just because they don't build their tag teams.
there's 3 tag team matches on night 2, which I am just not going to be into.
No.
And I wouldn't mind. I like everyone individually, but I'm like, why are you in tag matches? It's just, for me, it screams Raw. These look like Raw matches that you would watch on Monday Night Raw. And
particularly the next match, the Fatal 4 tag for the women's tag
I
team
hate it so
championships.
much. I hate it so much. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's so raw,
Yeah.
and it's so it's the fact that they have done nothing with these titles.
Nothing.
Like,
yeah.
they've done absolutely nothing with the women's tag. I don't even watch the show when I know they've done nothing with the women's tag titles.
So it's Queen Selena Carmella defending against Sasha Banks and Naomi. Naomi, there you go. That is who you build your women's division around. You get her in a feud with what's her name?
Bianca Belair.
Thank you. With Bianca Belair, and give Naomi the belt, and you have, like, I'm a huge proponent of Naomi. I think she's great.
She was fantastic at, what was it, Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I mean, I've seen her live. The crowd love her. Her vibe is great. Her energy is unreal. It's annoying because it's like, why aren't you having these competitive matches that aren't tag team wastes of time? Anyway, Rhea Ripley the same. And Liv Morgan. All the women in this matches deserve better.
Yeah,
they really do.
And again, I'd add Shayna Baszler to that list as well.
Shayna Baszler, yeah.
Shayna, I think, has missed her window because there was a period of time where she looked like an absolute monster.
Yeah,
like she really could have just stormed her way through the whole division. But I think that legitimacy she had, I think they've lost that by now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I kind of got that.
Tagging with Natalya won't do her any favours.
No, poor Natalya. It's the kiss of death in a lot of ways to end up in a tag team with her. You know, it's just irrelevancy. That's all. But so who have you got? I'm saying the New Day is going to go over. I can see a defense, but maybe Sasha Banks. No, sorry, that's Natalya. Actually, Natalya and Shayna Baszler would probably be my picks to win the belts. But who have you got? First
I would say Sasha and Naomi. It seems like it's something that Sasha can do to keep her busy without going for the women's title so soon after. Actually, is Sasha SmackDown or is she Raw?
I think they're all Raw.
Raw, are they? Yeah. So it's something that she can do to keep her busy without having to go straight for Bianca Belair now that she's got the title. You know.
And what about the opener?
I mean, probably the New Day. It depends how much they're looking to push this new partnership with Ridge Holland and Sheamus, and then obviously Butch. Like, I could see an ending where Butch interferes with a weapon or something, and Sheamus and Ridge Holland get the win that way. But it's not for it in this match; it's just a tag match. So, I mean. Yeah, there's no real stakes to it. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Sheamus and Ridge Holland win as a result of interference from Butch.
Very fair. Knoxville and Sami Zayn. As I said, this match is going to be. I expect some mad stuff from this. It's probably going to be booked like an old school hardcore, like a fun hardcore match, not like a death match. And then there'll be some weird stunt at the end. Knoxville probably will get the win, and Sami Zayn will go mad. But yeah, that's my pick. I think that's what's going to happen. I'm looking forward to it.
I suppose, I mean, to me, it makes more sense that Sami Zayn would win. But then again, if his whole character is that conspiracy, everyone's a conspiracy against him, I could see how it would make more sense for Knoxville to win.
Yeah. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. Again, if they keep this about 5 to 7 minutes, absolute maximum, and even that's pushing it, it could be good. If it goes over that, it could be terrible. Pat McAfee's going to win. Very obviously.
Yeah, McAfee for the win.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's...
like, they absolutely...
Yeah, they have to.
They love Pat McAfee.
I mean, Yeah, you have to. He's brilliant. He makes those shows watchable. Like genuinely, when he's not commentating, the show is worse for it.
And he is. So that's one thing I would say about night one as well. So the production was actually quite good. They toned down the camera cuts a lot, which I really appreciated. But the commentary is still dreadful.
Yeah.
But of all the commentators, McAfee is the best. He has like a genuine excitement. Like he's really bloody happy to be there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of infectious.
The production actually was pretty good throughout the whole night. The weird one was actually for night one when Undertaker showed up and he had that terrifying 3D
blue
image. And I was like, what is that? Like, it's like someone melted an action figure of the Undertaker. Melt man with the power to melt.
Class.
That's exactly what it was like, and I'm like, oh, maybe don't do that again. Yeah. So RK Bro, Randy Orton, and Riddle, who are the champions, defending against the Street Posse and Alpha Academy.
I mean, I imagine RK Bro retain.
I think it's an easy night for the lads.
I mean, so everybody has been expecting the breakup, but I think that the chemistry between these two has kind of taken some people by surprise in terms of how good they are as a kind of an odd couple. So I'd say I can see them delaying the kind of the breakup story. Hell, maybe even to WrestleMania next year.
Maybe have the nice slow burn for the full year. You know.
Yeah.
I don't see them losing the belts because it's such like unless it's the Street Posse, and maybe the Street Posse could actually win it. But if they are going to do the breakup, Street Posse wins. Orton blames Riddle for the win, for the loss, and then hits an RKO.
Yeah, to be honest,
I don't see it at WrestleMania though. I don't see it.
I'm kind of different. I see if RK Bro don't retain, I see Alpha Academy getting it.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the boost that Chad Gable and Otis would really benefit from.
Okay. I mean, now I have a bit more of an intrigue because I didn't even factor those in, but that would be a cool boost for them actually.
Yeah. It's just I don't know what it is. Just kind of a feeling I have. Fair. Same one I got when I said Christian was going to win the Impact title.
Oh man, I knew that was going to win anyway. I was always a Christian Cage fan. Speaking of Christian Cage, fortunately he won't be there. We'll have Edge and AJ Styles. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, like yourself, I think this one has to go to AJ. I think he needs it more.
Yeah.
And then Edge Edge is Edge. He's really popular either way, and he can kind of the
return match next week and next month's Backlash.
Oh, WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah.
But if he's doing this sort of darker character, he can use that loss to kind of spiral into something else.
I agree. I think it's a safe bet with AJ tonight getting the victory, and then obviously them continuing the feud into Backlash and maybe being more hardcore extreme match, and then of course going into Extreme Rules. So I think this is the start of a feud rather than the end of it, with the first win going to AJ.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley and Otis, everyone loses.
Yeah, it's like the tag for the first Alien versus Predator movie. No matter who wins, we lose.
Yeah, and I think that's that's the long and short of it. Maybe Bobby Lashley wins and he gets to go off and play his golf and he's happy. Like, I mean, the lads get paid, so technically they win. But
yeah, I mean, look,
if don't care.
If I can't call who will win because I just don't know what WWE's plans are for almost, but if I was booking this, I would have Bobby Lashley win.
That's fair, and the way you laid it out makes a lot more sense, particularly the way things are. Now, here's a weird one.
Here we go.
And with the time that we have left, winner take all, the match that everyone saw coming.
Well, here's the thing: is that this is confusing me because they've been on like interviews with different companies and all saying, oh no, there'll definitely be a belt on SmackDown and a belt on Raw.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense for us not to have a belt on both shows.
Yeah.
You know, they're two different networks. So this unification thing is going to be a one night deal, and then they'll unveil a new belt on either on SmackDown or Raw.
I mean, look, a unification makes more sense in lots of ways, particularly in the way it is. I mean,
yeah, I think it makes more sense for them to have, one champion who goes between both shows.
Yeah, like the way they did with the original Undisputed Championship.
Yeah, especially with the way they've just cut the hell out of the roster now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it makes far more sense to have one.
And what they'll do as well, then they'll probably bring up the IC or US belt to be kind of like the TV championships for those shows.
Yeah, I mean, well, because as long as you have 4 world champions, I mean, none of the other belts matter. Like,
exactly,
look at this. They've got 2 bloody shows, 2 WrestleManias, and they still can't find one US or one IC match. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's that really says it all. You know, if they're able to reset and go, right, whatever they probably just call it the WWE Championship, to be fair. Or the WWE Undisputed Championship, which, to be fair, that's a much better name. That is a good name.
Oh God, yeah, than the Universal.
Yeah, and it's like, right, you have that there, and like, you know that your main event at every year's WrestleMania is going to be for that, you know. But I mean, like, if you know that when you're watching Raw, your Universal, your main champion won't be on it, but everything will be either angling towards facing him or him picking a challenger. That kind of adds some intrigue, you know. But it also means then the actual workhorse wrestling can be done for the US belt or the IC belt, or even make the tag division a bit more competitive. It's just one of those things where, like, I can't believe we're going back 20 years to go forward. You know the way?
Well, I mean, there's no end of opportunities with it if they do genuinely do a unification. Like, there's what they need is a shake-up, and that would be a shake-up. You know?
Yeah, and it's you know it's
also to do with the prestige of the title. Like, your world title has to mean something. Look at the IWGP world title. Like, that means something. Look at the AEW world title. That means something. Yeah, you go to WWE and you have 2 world titles. It doesn't make.
But the reason why the AEW belt means something is because they have that TV title. The TNT. Like, I mean, that's the one that you're going to see defended, and then when it is the main event, it has that big fight feel. And yeah, this WrestleMania match, now don't get me wrong, they're saying it's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. That's ridiculous. That's a fundamentally not true statement. But am I excited to see it? Yeah. Now, I can see Roman Reigns winning this. The reason why is because Brock Lesnar has said he wants to transition a bit more to a backstage role. He is getting older. He's actually been doing a lot of backstage stuff, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And Roman Reigns probably has a bit more longevity. But, like, if they were going to give it to Brock for one last run, I mean, he can then say he is probably the greatest wrestler of all time, which he would actually be. Even though, you know, he's not my favourite wrestler, I do like Brock a great deal. But my question, I suppose, on this, who do you think is going to win and why? What makes more sense?
To me, Lesnar.
Right.
I think Lesnar wins it. Reigns has had this unbelievable run, and it's going to take someone like they've built up his run so much now that it's going to take someone huge to take the belt off him.
Yeah.
They've also just booked Lesnar as an absolute the way he just
chamber.
Ran through everyone at the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Like, Lesnar, to me, it makes more sense that Lesnar wins here, and like you say, if he is transitioning into a different role, makes more sense to me that Lesnar wins here as the only one who's, like, really currently the only star they have who could, like, in any kind of realistic way take the belt off Reigns. And then build someone up over the next year and then have Lesnar drop the title to them.
I mean, I would prefer that. I would, if the question is, who do I want to win? I want Lesnar to win. I like Roman Reigns. I love this character that he's doing. I think it's one of the best runs of any heel champion because, like, it's so unique. It's not a repeat of anything we've seen before. It's like a pastiche of dominant champions, but like properly being a king over, like, instead of just being the champion, being the champion means I'm the king of this company. This proper. It ends with me.
Well, here's the question, Dara. So he's been champion for what? Nearly 2 years now, is it?
Nearly 2 years, yeah.
Nearly 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
If Lesnar doesn't take the title off him, who does?
That's it. And I think that's fundamentally why I agree with your analysis of Lesnar winning. I mean, there is nobody else. They haven't got anyone else. I mean,
and they've built Lesnar up over the past couple of months so well to be in this absolute monster that if Reigns beats him, like, who the hell can beat Reigns? Like, they don't have anybody who could realistically. I mean, Cody is the only one who could.
No, I think you're looking too small. I think they've wanted The Rock versus Reigns for years.
Do you think that's on the cards?
I did, but I don't think it is now. I think if we were talking 2 or 3 years ago and they had set this in motion and the pandemic didn't happen, I think, we'd probably be looking at that tonight. But because of obviously what happened and the pandemic and etc., I don't think it is. Like, I mean, they could probably have that cooking for next year, but I don't see it.
I think Reigns versus The Rock. Okay, I think it's possible, but I don't think it can be for the title because nobody's going to buy that The Rock's going to win and then stick around as the champion. To be honest, I think it's 50-50 if it would happen at all, because The Rock could either, do another movie and pick up 100 million for it, or risk injury, risk ridicule, risk a bad match, whatever, for a fraction of that amount of money. I just don't see it. And if he does come back, I don't think it would help the match to have it be for the title, because I think even the most optimistic fan would say, okay, it's realistic to think that you might get The Rock back for one match. I don't think it's realistic to think you'll get him back for a run, of any kind.
But I mean, that's the only person I could see legitimately. If Reigns wins tonight, that's legitimately the only reason why they would do it. I don't see any. Again, like, I mean, if Brock Lesnar, particularly after that defeat, just handing out the brutality he handed out at Elimination Chamber. I mean, he killed the entire WWE main roster by himself in minutes.
Everyone.
Everyone. So.
And not even like in a competitive wrestling.
No,
he
just
made them all look like goobers.
Yeah.
And then he stepped out of the ring and started laughing in the crowd. Like, he's just... they've done an incredible job of building him. Yeah. I really like him.
Oh, so do I. I think he's like brilliant. He's the best thing about WWE.
They've done too good of a job because there's nobody like there's nobody coming after him.
No, like either way, the line ends because they've built up their main roster to basically be there's Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar,
and that's it.
There's nobody else.
They made a clown, like they gave the title to Big E for a week and made a bloody clown out of him.
Yeah.
Sure, he was the champion for how long? Didn't he have like over the first couple of months of his reign, he had like 6 matches and lost 5 of them.
Yeah.
So, like, just idiotic booking.
Either way, I think this is a reset though, Martin. I think this is a reset, and I know that WrestleMania is always like seen as a reset, but like I think this is a hard reset. Like either way, this is going to set the new status quo. This is probably the last Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns meeting. I'm going to go. I'm going to tentatively go with Brock Lesnar, but I will say, and my heart goes with Brock Lesnar because I want him to win. But if Roman Reigns wins, I agree with you. I don't think anyone's going to dethrone him other than The Rock. And that is a big statement, I'm aware, but it's also like, there's nobody else, you know?
Yeah. What, Austin Theory's going to come along? And
well, maybe Stone Cold could come out and be like, I want the belt, you know? But, you know.
Yeah, look, the other thing I would say is I hope, no matter who wins, I hope that the two of them just have a match. I don't want any more bollocks with the Usos running in and, you know, the match ending that way. Like I say,
yeah, I want the match.
The past couple of months, we've only watched like maybe 2 or 3 WWE pay-per-views to do reviews.
Yeah.
And even I'm goddamn sick of the Usos.
Yeah,
already.
I mean, I just want the match now at this point. I think Paul Heyman's going to be involved, obviously. That's going to be a big plot point. But, you know, we're about 2 minutes away from the show starting. We're almost at time here anyway for Phoenix FM. Martin, is there anything you want to say before we go into night 2? Anything you want to plug?
We're just heading into night 2 and I have adrenaline in my soul. Although I'm slightly dreading listening to Michael Cole.
Don't worry, we have Pat McAfee. I'm sad that he's not going to be commentating during that match. I think that's going to... But you probably bring King out, to be fair.
Do you know they should put the Undertaker's TED Talk microphone on McAfee and let him commentate his own match?
That would be amazing, to be fair. I mean, that's a cool idea. It really is. One thing as well that was funny, you know, when they had the Stone Cold thing last night and it was all JR's big calls and I'm like, man...
yeah.
This is not the same without him. Like, imagine if I would have actually went to AEW, said, can we just have JR for like an hour and then bring him in and he'd be screaming his head off, Stone Cold, you know, be amazing. Yeah. Be amazing. They should have just said, look, here's money, come on over.
Yeah.
But
I know. Although one thing I did notice was they actually, whenever Cody was coming out, they used the undesirable to undeniable line.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, folks, look, whatever it is tonight, we hope you enjoy it. Again, if this is your first time checking us out, like, subscribe, spread the word of the show. That really helps us out. The Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by people who don't hate wrestling. We'll be back every single Friday to do our live show. And again, if you're listening to us on Phoenix 92.5 FM, thank you so much. We'll be back next week to talk about what we thought about WrestleMania, and then we're back to WCW. See you later, guys.
On a pole.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.